All right, hello everyone. Ooh, nice and loud today. Hello. All right, welcome to the 1883 Speaker Series. My name is Mike Wozniak. I serve as the Coordinator of Leadership and Programming in the Student Involvement and Parent Programs Office. Each week we invite a campus or community leader to talk about how today's student can develop their leadership skills as well as other advice regarding personal and professional development. We hope you learn some valuable lessons in the next 18 minutes and 83 seconds. For today's speaker, please join me in welcoming the Executive Director of Northlands Rescue Mission, Sue Shirek.
Thank you. I'm an old lady. That's a high step. Thank you for inviting me to be here with you today, and welcome to everybody online and in person. It is really fun being here. So much has changed since I was at UND twice. Went to the bathroom and couldn't figure out how to work the faucets and, all kinds of things. But this is a beautiful facility, and I'm thrilled to be here. So I am the Executive Director of Northlands Rescue Mission. It's one of the oldest homeless shelters in the country. We are a shelter that serves men and women, families experiencing homelessness. We feed members of the community. We do a food pantry. We have addiction supports for people. We have the backpack program for kids where we provide weekend food for over 1,200 kids in our community who struggle with poverty and homelessness and hunger and just need food on the weekends. And we do a lot more. So that's what I do. And if you look on an org chart, I'm kind of up in this one square at the top. And then you have, the upper level management and the mid-level management and all these people who do all the work. And it looks like I should have a tiara, but I don't, and I don't want one. And in reality, I don't sit in, a castle and say, what's going on? Tell me what you're doing and approve and bless things. I'm responsible to those people. I'm responsible to the people that work in our facility to ensure that they have a good, safe place to work and they're getting hours that they need and they're getting access to resources that they need. I'm responsible to a board of directors. My boss is sitting right up there. And I'm responsible to the community at large, the people who send in the $3 donation or who make a $10,000 donation. I'm responsible to them and to the government and to the people who provide grants. And most importantly, I'm responsible to the clients that we serve every day, to provide a place where there's dignity, to provide a place that's safe, to provide a place where they can get back on their feet, to provide a place where they are human beings. That's what I do. So that org chart looks like this. I will let you know I'm ADD, so if I can't finish a thought, just bear with me. I will probably circle back to it somewhere. But if you take that org chart and tip it sideways, because this is kind of what an ADD mind does, it starts rambling off the charts. If you tip it sideways, it looks like I just won the Sweet 16, right? But I don't get to be here without all those other people who are way over here running the race with me. I don't get to be where I am, and this organization doesn't get to be successful without all those other people coming along. It's not my Sweet 16 race, it's ours. It is a we thing. And it's not just those of us who work there, but if you're here and you volunteered, you're part of the we. If you're here and your church gives money to the mission or you help out in some way, you are part of the we. And if you're part of the community who respects other members of your community in spite of their differences, you are part of the we. So now with my ADD brain, if you take that org chart and tip it all the way upside down, guess what? It becomes a funnel. And while sometimes people say all the bad stuff flows downhill, it flows to the leader. You are responsible for the people you serve, for what happens in that organization. And it's a heavy lift some days. It isn't all glory to be in charge. And I know that's what a lot of you are, you have these hopes and dreams and aspirations of someday this is who I want to be and someday this is what I want to do. And right now I just want to get out of here and stop having to, go to school and maybe think about earning some money because I'm going to have student loans to pay. But let me tell you something. When you get out there, learning doesn't quit, number one. Continue to learn. Number two, strive for the best. Strive to be all that you want to be, all that you desire to be, and strive to do good. Work to be accountable. Work to be somebody who makes a difference. Work to be somebody whose life matters and who makes other lives have value. So, if you look at the path a lot of people take to get to be who they want to be in this world, some of you, from the time you were little, said, when I grow up, this is what I want to be. And you've held true to that. And you're going to school for that, or you're an adult who is doing that. And you're living your dream. For me, if you're old, you older people will understand this, but there used to be a cartoon called Family Circus. Yeah, see, the older people are nodding their head. So there was a little kid named Billy in the Family Circus, and the mom would send Billy to do something, and Billy was kind of like me, kind of ADD, and Billy would start here, and he was supposed to take a letter to the mailbox, and Billy would go climb a tree, and then he'd go run and find a dog, and he'd stop to talk to somebody, and he'd do this big loop all over the yard before he ever got to the mailbox, and then he missed the mailman. Well, that's kind of the career path that I took. And while some of you have that gift of knowing just who you are and what you want to do and who you want to be, some of you won't. And some of you will be like me. I've been a waitress. I've run my own business. I've been a police officer, had a whole career doing that. I was an international trainer in a gang prevention program. I was a cop and I was a police negotiator. I was a school resource officer. I got a lot of stuff that I've done and I don't regret any of it because I took a more adventurous path, trying to get to where I am. Don't be afraid if that's you. Wherever you are, though, I will tell you this, stop and learn. Learn from the people who are doing things right. Learn from the people who are doing things wrong. And if you can, stop and make a difference. Take advantage of opportunity. So I was working midnight shift at the police department. I have 5 kids, got 0 sleep ever. And the opportunity came up to work in the Community Resource Bureau where you would go teach programs to the community. I taught landlord-tenant training. I taught about meth use. I did a whole bunch of different stuff. And I had been teaching a class to elementary kids. And this opportunity came up to teach middle school kids alternatives to drugs or gangs and violence. And I thought, why not? I want to go do this. And I get to go to Phoenix to go be trained. Why not, right? So I did. I took an opportunity. A couple years down the line, I got some mail saying, hey, we're looking for new members of the national training team. I sent in a horrible tape, and I got accepted. I got involved in that, and pretty soon I was helping develop a national curriculum. And pretty soon beyond that, I was traveling internationally, teaching law enforcement officers from Central America how to teach this program in their schools. Because I took an opportunity when it presented itself. And I will never regret that. And I met some of the most wonderful people. And I've gotten to travel all over the U.S. and Central America because of it. When opportunities present themselves, go for it. Go for it. And you may not use it now, but guess what? You may use it down the line. Because I can tell you in my position, I have an in-house thrift store, I have a restaurant, I have clients who are dealing with drug use and mental health. All my jobs leading up to where I am now have dealt with all those issues. Take advantage of where you're at. Don't be afraid to start small. You might want to be an accountant in the biggest accounting firm around. Don't be afraid while you're here to try volunteering in a nonprofit or to work in a smaller accounting firm. Because guess what? In a nonprofit, you're working with doing good work. And even though you might be the accountant, you're part of the good that that organization does. Don't be afraid to work in a small firm because you get more hands-on stuff and more individual ownership. But don't be afraid of what a big firm can offer you. Dream as big as you want to dream. But I'll tell you this too, don't be afraid if what you thought was your dream forever turns out to not be where your heart's passion is. You are not tied to what you started out doing. Life is about making new choices and trying new things sometimes. And you might find that where you started is certainly not where you thought you were going to be. When I was a kid, I wanted to be a priest. Okay, I'm a woman, and I have been divorced and remarried, and I am never going to be a priest in my lifetime. But I can tell you that in the job that I'm in, I get to go to a lot of churches and speak on Sundays from the pulpit. And I get to put those good works into action. And prayers get answered differently. And don't be afraid to try something different, because you just never know. So I want to talk a little bit about leadership too. You know, some of you think, well, leadership means that's that tiara piece at the top of the org chart. But if you read about leadership, leadership is about leading people. It's about helping people come along with you. If you're old, and I don't know if you're young, if you played this game, but us old people played Follow the Leader, right? I don't know if that was a thing anymore with younger people. We played a game called Follow the Leader. Leadership is about getting people to follow along with you. Right now, we have a lot of stuff going on in the news where people have lost their following. People don't believe in who they are and what they're doing anymore. We're seeing it in a big thing in the House of Representatives, right? You have to get the trust of people that you work with, people that you're involved with, to be a good leader. And you have to understand about who those people are. I had an epiphany moment just the other day. When I was in high school, I was in band, and our band director wanted us to teach the younger kids. So I had like 3 or 4 8th graders who were playing the French horn, and it was my job to teach them. And they hated it. This one girl, she hated it. And I thought, I'm never going to be a teacher of middle school band because then I'm going to get a bunch of kids like these. Well, lo and behold, first of all, I ended up my last 10 years of my career as a middle school resource officer, and I loved every minute of being in a middle school classroom. Every minute. These are kids on the cusp of understanding the bigger pictures in the world, and they're quirky and they're funny, and I love them. Second of all, this epiphany just happened the other day, and I thought, you know, you missed an opportunity when you had her as a student. You could have taught her how to enjoy music. You could have inspired her. As a leader, that's your job, is to inspire, to gain people's trust, to come along with you in whatever that bigger picture is. Because here's one thing, you can't do it all yourself. If that project or that goal of your organization is like a rock, you can't pick that rock up and carry it all by yourself because you probably won't pick it up. It's a heavy thing. It's a big lift. You need to surround yourself with others and people who have strengths that you don't have, who also believe in the same thing you do. That ADD stuff, I need people who can come along with me and say, hey, you know, we need to do this. You forgot. You're right. I'm a big picture person. I stress the list people out because I say, we're going to do that. And they say, do you know that means we have to do this and this and this and this? And how are we going to do this? And they freak. And I'm like, well, thanks for reminding me. This is how we do it. But they see the lists and I don't. But they believe in the same thing I do. Understand what your strengths are. Understand what your weaknesses are. Bring other people into the fold because that big old boulder gets heavy. So you're going to have people who can say, you know, I know we need to get it over there. The easiest path is to go this way. And you're going to have somebody else who says, you know, I know how to build a wagon that maybe we can put it on. And somebody else that says, how about if we chop this boulder up into some little pieces and we each take a little bit of it? And together you move the boulder. Because burnout is a real thing. You can't do it all yourself. You can't do it all. And you have to be aware that people around you burn out too. I worked in law enforcement for a long time, and unless somebody was standing at the ledge threatening to jump, or they had a gun and they were going to kill themselves or somebody else, it really wasn't that stressful of a situation for me. But life is stressful for people, and you have to understand that other people have been in different circumstances than you. And things stress them out that don't stress you out. And you have to understand people, and you have to be able to inspire them to come along and help them get past their fears. One of the things I learned in teaching this program to other law enforcement officers was even people my age are scared of change. I taught law enforcement officers who as adults were dyslexic, who had learned how to make their way through life and adapt to a situation. But when they got in a classroom and they had a curricula in front of them that was pretty scripted, they struggled to read. And to have that fear of being told, I'm not very good because I have a learning disability, come forward again. To watch them overcome those hurdles as an adult was powerful. And my job as a leader was to help them through that. I had one guy we were teaching, and his top law enforcement official from his country was coming to his graduation. That would be like the Attorney General of the United States coming to watch you graduate from a 2-week program. And this guy just didn't get it. We worked with him upside down. I'd have the interpreter saying, because he was a Spanish speaking, and the interpreter would say, no, no, no. And he'd holler at him and bring him aside, and we'd work with him, and we rewrote the curricula so he could understand it better and streamlined it. And we said, I don't care what it takes. We are going to get this person through. He matters, and it matters to him and his country, that he completes this program. And we did. And he graduated. And man, that was the hardest work I've ever done, I think. But it's about people. Leadership is about people. It's about understanding that people are different than you, that sometimes they don't feel as good as the next guy. And it's about helping them find their own strengths. Know your strengths. Help them find their strengths. And work together, because that's where you're going to make the difference. It's when you can develop other people into being leaders that you become a leader. It's about sharing a passion, but it's about leading with integrity too. At the end of the day, when you get to be old like me, you need to look back on your day or on your life and say, what I did was good. What I did mattered. And where I hung my hat had value and integrity. And sometimes it's going to be really hard. It's going to be really hard because sometimes people will look at you and they'll start finger pointing and talking, and you have to rise above. Know that you're doing the right thing for the right reason. And just walk above and keep on walking. You guys have a great opportunity because of COVID. We walked a lot of straight lines and secure paths before COVID happened. And when COVID happened, our whole world got disrupted. So a lot of us had to change how we did stuff. The way that we did things before wasn't working. You guys have the opportunity because of that to go into a world where it's easy to say, I think we can change things. I think I have a vision of what might be better or different. You guys also have a great opportunity in that the workforce needs you right now. We are all struggling to fill positions in the workforce. And we can use each and every one of you. Don't be afraid to share your visions. Don't be afraid to step in and say, hey, I can't do that very good, but I'm willing to learn. This is what I can do really good, and I want to help. And give it your all. One of the things that I've seen that is the biggest frustration for me is people who come for job interviews and they haven't even looked us up on the internet. Do your work. Show people that you have value. Be willing to lead. Be willing to step in. And a leader doesn't have to be up here with the tiara. You can lead from wherever you are in an organization. And if you are a leader, and if you're up here with the tiara, understand that leadership doesn't just happen from up here. Yes, you're guiding the organization. But you also have to come along behind the people who are struggling to follow along. And you have to be that encourager that helps them so that they cross the finish line when you do. We all have to cross the finish line. You can't leave people behind. And then you have to come alongside the people on the side to say, hey guys, what more do we need here? How can I help each and every one of you? You have to motivate. You have to encourage. You have to provide training. and resources. And you have to realize that every one of those people has value. Every one of them is an integral part of the work that you do. In closing, if there are some resources that I can put out there for you, I'm going to recommend a couple things. Number one is a book by Scott Harrison called Thirst. And if you don't think that you can make a difference in this world, whether you are in the profit world, whether you're teaching kids, whether you're running your own business, I don't care what it is. Read the book Thirst. It's a story about a man who was big into the club scene in New York, got out of it for some different reasons that you'll read about, and ended up bringing to several countries in Africa the water that they needed to survive. If you think one person can't make a difference, read Thirst. The second one, I would say, this book might only have value for some of us older people, but down the road it will matter to you. It's a book called Falling Upward, and in it talks about how the first half of our life is meant to be the structure that we build. We find a career, we have a marriage and kids and whatever else, the picket fence and the house, and we build a vessel. The second half of our life is pouring that vessel out on others. Make your life have a difference. Make your life matter. Go out and do good, and you won't regret it. I know I went long. Can I answer any questions from anybody? Yes.
Your experience as a police officer now as your director of publishing your latest.
Yes. So, it's really cool because I taught about methamphetamine use. We have a lot of people who have drug issues, and I see a lot of that. I worked with a lot of people on the street who the only option was arrest. And that's not the answer. Arresting somebody doesn't fix a problem. Now we have the opportunity to bring people in. Same people that I've been working with for years. Some of them were students I worked with in middle school, and they're now homeless people. But now they come in our offices and we sit them down and we say, what's going on in your life? It's not either, get out of here or you're going to get arrested. It's how can we fix? What can we help you change? What's happened in your life and what's going on in your life so that these choices and these situations don't keep happening. And when we work with people, it's like peeling off the layers of an onion. You get to the core of what's going on and you see the person. And when we get to the person and see what's impacted them in their lives, we can help them make change. Thank you. And
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Christy Okerlund, and I have the pleasure today of thanking you all for coming and thanking Sue. Next week, we have Jody Hodgson, General Manager of the Ralph Engelstad Arena. We hope you'll be able to join us. Have a great rest of your day, and thanks again for being here.